This is my first time in this country. This is a country I have never been to, and I didn't think I would be here for many, many years. But I'm finally here. We're not even in the capital city, but this might be one of the most interesting places I've ever come to, with so much history and so many beautiful things to see. This is the city of Novi Sad, in the country that I'm in for the first time ever, Serbia. Now today we're sort of doing a first impressions of Serbia. We're currently in Novi Sad, which is not the capital. The capital is Belgrade, but we're in the north of Belgrade. We're in the north of Serbia. This is my first time in the city, first time in the country. I don't really know what there is to see. I'm not really sure. This is sort of just a chill layover day before we head down to Belgrade and then further east to other countries. But it does look like a really beautiful European city. I don't know if you can tell behind me, but the charming sort of walkways looks like anything like any other city in Eastern Europe, which is beautiful, that's the least to say. But let's go see what there is to do in this city. I have high hopes. I'm very, very excited to see what the city has to offer. I think there is a lot of beautiful things, and the Danube also runs through the city, so that should also be beautiful. First thing I'm already noticing is that there aren't a lot of tourists, which means that, you know, Serbia is not on the high bucket list priority. You know, it's not Budapest, it's not, you know, the sort of Balkan coastline states. It's very different, and I'm really loving that. It's very, very local. Not a lot of people here, not a lot of tourists, just locals walking around doing their daily things, which is exciting, which is absolutely fantastic. But let's go ahead, get started, and see what we can do with our day today. Well, first stop of the day, we've come here to the main square here in Novi Sad. This is a beautiful square. You've got these colonial European buildings. You've got a massive, you know, cathedral, of course. You know, you've got to have some religious building here. Behind me, I think, is the old city hall here of Novi Sad. It is a beautiful building. We've also got a statue here, but very classic European sort of central area. The buildings are as Western European as it gets. But this square, I know during Christmas time, there's a Christmas market here, and at night it just lights up with the most beautiful lights ever. But it is beautiful. It really is beautiful. We've got some street stands over there. Popcorn, for some reason, is a very popular thing here on the streets of Novi Sad. Like everywhere you go, I think there's one, there's two, there's three popcorn stands from where I'm standing right now. I can see them, and for some reason it's just really, really popular on the streets of Novi Sad. I don't know why popcorn is so popular, but I'm happy about it. Popcorn is a good thing. But of course, we've got this church right here. This is the Name of Mary Church. Let's go check out this tallest, I think this is the tallest church here in Novi Sad, Serbia. Unfortunately, although you can enter the church, you can enter only like the first 2 meters of it. After that, it's closed off. I think they're practicing the organ in there right now, so it's really, really quiet. Nobody's allowed in. You can't sit down, you can't do anything. You just walk around just for like the 3 meters there, and then that's it, and you gotta go out. But it looks like a really beautiful church. It looks like a really nice church. Very clean, very clean. I think it might be a pretty new church actually too. I don't know the history, but it's a very, very tall church, that I know for sure. And the roof tiles are also really, really beautiful. But the organ's playing in there, so I'm not gonna spend more time in there. Definitely not gonna vlog in there. And let's see what else we can see around the center of Novi Sad. Now, right next to the cathedral begins this major street here, full of restaurants, full of bars, full of incredible nightlife. If you're here, you know, past 11 p.m. This is Zalaj Vodjina, and it's this sort of main road full of these restaurants, full of little ice cream shops, full of little restaurants, bakeries, cafes especially, and at night bars. And it's just packed with all these chairs, all these restaurants. I think you can see right behind me. I mean, this is sort of like the nightlife hub of Novi Sad, and it's also the sort of main old town area, no cars are allowed, it's pedestrian only. But you know, even in the late afternoon, you'll see kids sort of running around, families coming out and playing. So it's sort of like the main central social hub of Novi Sad as well. Right now during the day, especially under this heat, nobody's out and about here on the street. But as the day gets to the end, as the sun sets around like 8 p.m., 9 p.m., that's when really, you know, the Novi Sad locals come out and they really enjoy the street. But it is a beautiful street, and it actually takes us to the next destination right here, which I'm about to show you, which is some church. I don't know the name of it, but let's go inside and let's go check it out. That right there is St. George's Cathedral, and I have to say, it might be a really small church. It's not that big. There's not even many seats. There are no chairs actually, but it is one of the most beautiful churches I've ever seen. The paintings in there are incredible. The stained glass, incredible. The chandeliers are so old. Like they're not like, you know, the Gothic or even the sort of neoclassical style. This is just old church. It is incredible. At the back in the altar, they have these like beautiful artworks, and even there they have presented these beautiful paintings of Jesus. And you know, I'm not a religious person. I'm not religious, but those paintings depicting religious scenes, they are impressive. They are truly incredible. That has got to be one of the most beautiful churches I've ever seen. And to believe that this is in Serbia, that something is so old, so well preserved. You go in there, there's no lights. There are no lights. There's none of that. They have candles. It's so old. It is incredible. They've also got a candle room where you can put your candles, but that is beautiful. So this is something interesting that I had no clue about until I heard a tour guide talking about it. But if you ever know about Albert Einstein, he has a very deep connection with Novi Sad, and actually spent a lot of time here in Novi Sad, very interestingly. And the reason for that is because his wife, Mileva marriage, his wife was Serbian. And she lived a few years in Novi Sad growing up in high school, but she also came back to Novi Sad, to give birth to a daughter. So Einstein's daughter was actually born here in Novi Sad, so Einstein would regularly visit Novi Sad for private family reasons. So that is a really interesting connection. I had no clue that Novi Sad had some connection with Einstein. Out of Serbia, this is where he would visit most. This is the city where he would visit because that was where his family was. Very interesting. I haven't seen any Einstein statues or anything like that, but definitely a fun fact when you think about Novi Sad. Right behind me, you see this yellow reddish building. It's a big building and it's completely protected. Nobody's allowed to go in. It's completely gated, as you can see right behind me. But this is the Bishop's Palace, the former Bishop's Palace. It's this beautiful sort of almost like Spanish style architecture, I have to say. I mean, look at the colors. It's like a bright yellow, very bright red. It's a very beautiful structure, and this is, like I said, originally when there was a bishop here in Novi Sad, the bishop would live within these palace walls. It's protected, you can't visit inside, but it is a very beautiful thing, and it's at the end of that little street that I was telling you guys about, with all the restaurants, the cafes, and the bars. You get to the church, which is right over there, and then you get to the Bishop's Palace, which is right over here. So they're literally just right next to each other, but it is beautiful. It is really stunning. The architecture is like I said, very Spanish style almost. You wouldn't expect this in Serbia. When you think of Serbia, you would not think of this, but that's what you find here, and it's beautiful. Of course, whenever I visit a new city, and especially a new country, I love to see what the locals are doing, what the locals are eating, and what the locals are buying. And there's no better way of knowing that than coming to the local market here in Novi Sad. I don't know what the name of the market is, but it is the local market. This is a pretty incredible market. They sell everything: fruits, vegetables, clothes, food, meat, chicken, whatever you want. They've pretty much got it here. The area is massive, but the area is not completely filled up, so you feel like you can get anything you need, but at the same time, it's like you have enough breathing air, you have enough breathing room. It's not stuffed to the brim. It's not like Mexican markets or Asian markets where it's just so hectic. It's chill, it's cool, but you can still get everything, which I absolutely love. It's a very chill vibe, a very nice Eastern European market vibe to it, but the people here are absolutely friendly and they are just the nicest people. Like I said, they're selling everything here, but just really, really great. This is traditionally known as the fish market apparently, but they don't really sell fish anymore, and if you don't know, Serbia doesn't really have much of a coastline, if any, so they don't really sell fish, but now they just sell basically anything else. They sell watermelon, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, and I think that's what makes up most of the diet here in Serbia. Novi Sad is a city obviously full of religion and full of different religions, but of course we're coming back to a Christian church here. This is a beautiful Christian church, and this is the Dormition Church. Let's go check it out. The Dormition Church was built in the 1700s and it's old. It's very, very old. And I think you can see from the inside, from the paintings that are left up there, the chandeliers, it's very similar to the style of St. George's. And just like St. George's, it's a really small church. Not that a lot of, there's no seats inside. They just have these big sort of paintings of religious figures, and people come by and pray on the religious figures. But beautiful, beautiful artwork in there. Same Eastern European style. I've never seen churches like these. I'm used to seeing, you know, the ones like in Budapest and in Krakow, but these are different. These are the sort of Eastern European type of churches that I've always been dying to see, and they are beautiful. They are very, very different in style, very old, and I love it. It's really, really beautiful. As I mentioned, Serbia is a country full of all these different religions, and of course there may be Christians, but there are also Jews here. So we've come to one of the big religious buildings here in Novi Sad. This is the synagogue of Novi Sad. The tragic story behind this synagogue is really sad. Serbia, you know, was one of those countries that was taken over during World War II by the Nazis. So this synagogue actually became a collection point for the Jewish people, because this street right in front of me, in front of the synagogue, this was like the Jewish street here in Novi Sad. And then what ended up happening was that when the fascists and the Nazis came over, they would come to the synagogue, collect the Jews before sending them off to death camps. So it's a really, really dark history, a really sad history here. After World War II, they tried to rebuild and reconstruct the entire synagogue, but they haven't turned it back into a synagogue. What they have done instead now is that they've leased it out to the Novi Sad municipality, and has turned it into a concert hall. So which is why you see there are organs, there are pianos nowadays. It's no longer used really as a religious synagogue, but it is still incredible to learn about the history of that place, especially the dark history that's behind such a beautiful building, and just realize that, you know, Serbia did not escape from the horrors of World War II in the 1940s. What an interesting history, what a fascinating place to visit, and it's very, very solemn. We are currently walking along the bridge that crosses the mighty and the beautiful Danube. Look at that river. That is the mightiest river in all of Europe. It is the lifeline, the vein and artery of Europe, connecting all the most important cities in Central and Eastern Europe. It's beautiful. It is so, so beautiful. But we're crossing over to get to the other side. I don't know if it's actually technically still Novi Sad, but this is stunning. This is honestly beautiful, and I can't wait to show you guys why we're going to the other side. This is insane, but we are going through this dark castle tunnel. It's incredible. Well, after a quick hike up across the Danube, which you can see right behind me, we have made it to probably the most beautiful viewpoint here in Serbia. This is Petrovaradinska Fort. I have no clue if I'm saying that correct. I might have completely butchered it, but that's the best I can do. And this fort, it's just right on the opposite sides, on the banks of the Danube River. In the past, it was used to protect for the city of Novi Sad. But I mean, just look at this building. It's beautiful, that sort of pastel yellow. And then on the opposite side, of course, the city of Novi Sad, shining in all its beauty. You see the cathedrals, you see the churches that we've seen today. You see the entire city just sprawled out across the banks of the Danube. I'm falling in love with Serbia. This is beautiful. But we're gonna catch the sunset here. Let me show you why. With views like that, I don't think I can give you any other reason to come to Serbia. Look at those colors, look at that purple. You're not gonna get this. You're just not gonna get this in, you know, other cities around the world where you've got a bunch of tourists. Literally, I have this entire place basically to myself. You've got locals, sure. It's peaceful, it's quiet, it's just magical. That's what Serbia is. Serbia is the land of sort of magic for me. I'm loving the city, the history, the vibe. It's just one of the most beautiful countries I've seen here in Eastern Europe, and I love this country. The food is amazing, the people are nice. You know, the city has so much to offer. The main streets, the churches, the cathedrals. It's stunning. The sun's rays are still shining up into the sky, and it's incredible. And yet people want to go to Budapest, or they want to go to, you know, Paris or Munich, and not Serbia. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know why people don't want to come to Serbia. It's just one of my favorite countries, at least in Eastern Europe. But that's that. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. First impressions here in Serbia. First time in Novi Sad. I love this city. It is one of the most beautiful cities I think I've seen actually on this trip. One of my favorite cities. Actually might be my favorite city that I've been on this trip, because I just love the vibe. I love how rustic and charming it is. I love, you know, how friendly the Serbian people are. It truly is amazing. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more food and travel videos. We'll continue here our journey here in Serbia, so we've got more videos coming up, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. No better way to end the video here on an old castle, an old fort in Serbia. So see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.